Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'm doing is I'm adding video by video to my new sub-series entitled All That I've Learned from Tony Robbins over the years, and I'm trying to put together a library of 365 logs of all of the lessons that I've learnt to put a tribute together for the big man, Tony Robbins, and to have one vlog a day for those who are interested in learning, growing, developing, and taking from the well of knowledge and wisdom that has been accumulated well before our time. Because as Tony Robbins says, and many of the others say, it is critical that we continue to grow and develop in our lives. It's critical that we learn from others, from OPE. It's critical that we learn from our own experiences. But most importantly, to understand that learning is simply the art of adding the unknown to the known. And the more you know, the more you're capable of knowing. The more you learn, the more you're capable of learning. The more you do, the more you're capable of doing. And to be invited to be the star, to be the subject of your life, to be the participant of your life rather than to be a simple spectator. So for those who don't know where I am today, I'm up here at Port Stephens at Nelson Bay, and I've just walked through the caravan park, and my friend George Adonio has reminded me what the code is to get through the gates. Otherwise I would have been trapped. So I'm up here for a few days just to chill out with my wife Paula and my sister-in-law Elpida. And what I thought I'd do is I'd take the opportunity, now that it's available to me, to just add to this library of knowledge and information and wisdom, and extend and expand this library video by video, day by day, so that we can get to the point to see that we're making progress. Because I don't know about you, but I enjoy seeing incremental progress, because I know that each step that I take is getting me closer to the outcome that I've set myself, to the dream that I've created for myself. And now we're getting older, there's no doubt about that, and we just mustn't take things for granted, and we must continue to add value day by day, moment by moment, so that we can ourselves grow and develop and become better versions of ourselves. So one of the key things that Tony Robbins reminds us of is that, with growth and development, what we understand or what we see as being new is not all that new at all. There's nothing all that new in the world anymore. All of the problems, all of the ideas, all of the challenges that we face in our lives have been faced time and time again, in time memorial, by our family, our ancestors, and many people. So when we discover something for the first time, it's not new. Tony Robbins makes this very, very valid and powerful point, It's not new. It's just new to us. It's just new to you because you're discovering it for the first time. And to also be cognizant that we are constantly going through cycles of stories that may not be ours, they may not have originated here, but we need to be, I guess, careful and conscious of the stories that are going on around us, because there's a thing called priming that is very, very powerful. Because what priming does is that it influences how we think, what we think of, how we see the world, and how we create the worldview that we currently enjoy, and how we interpret all the things that are going on around us. So the key message from the big man Anthony Robbins is that we all need to take ownership of our self and our mind, because what we focus on is who we become, and we end up becoming the half dozen thoughts that we keep on thinking about. We end up becoming the average of the half dozen people that we hang out with. It's just a natural thing that occurs, that if you spend enough time with somebody, sooner or later you become like them. You start to walk like them, you start to talk like them, you start to think like them, you start to worry about the things that they worry about, you start to laugh at the things that they find funny. And this could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. It all depends on who you've selected. It all depends on who you've chosen to spend most of your time with. And for that reason, Anthony Robbins talks about the importance of deliberately separating friends, family, and peers. Because what the big man says is that family and friends indeed are great. Family and friends are people who are important for various reasons, because they are there to support us, to comfort us, and to be with us to share our life journey. Family, for example, you can't really choose. They are there, and you have to love them, you have to respect them, you have to accept them and embrace them, because they are blood. You don't have a choice in the matter. You just need to be productive in the relationships that you have with family. Friends, on the other hand, are people who come into your life that you can choose, and they come into our lives at various times for various reasons. Some stay for the whole journey, some stay for part of the journey, and some are even just momentarily there, but they have a purpose, and we need to understand and deliberately extract, I should say, a positive purpose for our friendships and what they've been able to generate and give us. And they are a reminder of who we once were. But even friendships, according to the big man Anthony Robbins, need to grow, develop, and to expand. And whilst friendships are great, one of the challenges that we face, and that all people face in their friendships, is that friendships don't like growth and development. Friendships want us to be as we were when we first met, as we were when we first went on holidays together and partied together and did all those sorts of things together. And Anthony Robbins says that friendships are good and friendships are needed, but your friends won't necessarily allow you the honour and the tribute to be able to grow and develop and change. And for that reason, the big man Anthony Robbins says that we need to be selective and deliberate in terms of having a peer group of like-minded individuals that surround us, that will cajole us, will push us, will bend us, will stretch us, and allow us to grow and develop, to become bigger, better, and more productive versions of who we are. So what we're saying is that having friends and family is not a disadvantage. In fact, it is an advantage. But you need to have additions into the mix, because what we need is we need people who are going to be in our lives, who are going to help raise our standards. And we're not saying that family and friends can't do that, but we get lazy with our family and friends, and our family and friends over time get lazy with us. I remember when I was growing up as a young man, I was surrounded by family and friends who would push me and continue to help me raise my standard. My parents would push me to do my homework, would push me to learn a musical instrument, would push me to do my homework and to do all the things that I needed to do, to go to church, to eat well, to think well, to talk well, to be an upright and a good citizen. But I guess with time, we push back over and over and over again, like kids normally do, and parents start to feel sorry for their children and start to back off. And it's just backing off which is the dangerous thing. It's when the family, the uncles, the aunts, the grandparents also start to back off and lose interest, which is the beginning of the end for many people. Because there are so many temptations in the world. There are so many influences, both positive and negative. Dare I say that the majority of influences that we have in our world today with social media are negative influences, influences which teach us to take the road most travelled as opposed to the road less travelled, to take the easy road, to try and get rich quickly, to I guess take the easy road in terms of doing less rather than doing more, to be more selfish as opposed to being selfless. Why do stuff for other people when you can do it for yourself? Why listen to other people like your parents, your uncles, your aunts? Why be like your family when you can be your own person? But the risk with this is that you end up potentially lowering your standard. And this is where we need people in our lives. This is where we need institutions in our lives. This is where we need role models in our lives to help us raise our standard or to maintain our standard. And for that reason, the big man Anthony Robbins talks about the importance of having selected role models, selected mentors, selected peers in our group that are able to help us identify the gaps in terms of where we're currently at and where we should be, or where we potentially could be, and to actively do things through push, pull, cajoling, forcing, threatening, for us to get there rather than to waste the opportunity. Because the opportunities for everybody don't last forever. No, we get times in our lives, we get moments in our lives where we can get to do things with people. Our parents, our friends, our uncles, our aunts, our grandparents, our teachers are only in our lives for a certain amount of time, and that time is limited. They're part of our journey for, a set number of days, years, months, who knows it. So it's during this time that we need to wake up to ourselves and to do the things that we need to do in order to gain the skills, build the patterns, gain the mindset, and learn the tricks of the trade that are going to help us be better and be more capable of dealing with the challenges that will no doubt come our way as we get older and as we move through the world and through society that is rapidly changing on a daily basis. I remember years ago when I was about, 15 or 16, where I thought I knew everything. I was in the shop one day at Oatley. My parents had a business in Oatley, a chicken shop. And I remember working behind the counter with my father and my mother, and talking badly to my father, who asked me to do something, and I irately responded and reacted with some words that I now am ashamed of. But back then, when you're 15 years of age, you don't really think too much about what you say, and you certainly don't think too much about what the consequences could be of what you've said and how you make other people feel. But I remember saying something to my father that if my children said that to me, I would be very, very disappointed and upset. And I remember one of our friends of the family, Con Bosanellos, who was a real estate agent, a great entrepreneur, very, very energetic, very, very Greek in his mindset, and very, very charismatic, I would say. He's probably one of the most charismatic people that I've ever got to meet in my life. There's a few charismatic leaders that I've come across, but as a 15-year-old, he was up there with some of the best that I've ever come across. And I remember that next to my parents' chicken shop was a real estate agent. I think it was Mertens real estate agency, in which Con was a real estate agent working there. And Con was in the shop when I spoke illy to my father. And I remember the next day, Con came into the shop to buy something, and he said to me, can I speak to you in private? Can you come next door when you get a break from work? And I want to have a chat to you. And I thought, this is great, I thought Con was going to invite me to go shooting with him, or to go fishing with him, or to do something really cool, because he was one of those guys that had a young family, and he would go on holidays, and he would do all this interesting stuff. He was one of those guys that was really, really cool, and a sort of man that I looked up to and would love to be like him when I grew up. And I went next door there expecting something, positive and productive. And I spoke to Con. I said, "Hey, hi Con, you asked me to come and see you. I'm on my break now. What do you want to talk about?" And he said to me, "James," or Jimmy, as he called me back then, "I was in the shop yesterday with some clients, and we'd ordered food, and you were there working with your mother and father, which is highly commendable. It's really, really good to be close to your parents and to do the right thing. But whilst I was there, I heard you say something to your father, and not only did I hear it, but the clients that I was with, who were Greek, also heard you say what you said. And what you said was very, very rude and very, very bad. And I want you to know one thing, and you said it this way, and you put it in these terms. He says, "Look, I don't care what you say to your mother and father in private, but when you're in a public space, when I'm present, I don't want to ever hear you talk to your parents the way you talk to them, because I value you as a person. I want to see you grow and develop and have a good life, and to honour your parents and to do all the great things that you want to achieve in your life. But you're not going to get there if you don't control what you say, what you think, and how you behave. And it's not good that other people see you when you're not at your best, because they form impressions and opinions of who you are, and you're going to have people who are not going to want to be with you or have you in their company or have you being with their children, because of the fear that you may pollute their minds with your attitude or your poor attitude, which all teenagers go through. He said, I too, when I was young, had said similar things to my father, he said. But now that I've grown older, he says, I regret those words, I regret those times. But once you say something to your parent, once you say something in public that other people have heard, then what happens is you can't unsay it. Once you've said it, it's said. Once you've hurt somebody, you've hurt them, and you can't unhurt them. Even though a father or a mother loves you dearly, the fact that you say certain things will have an impact on them, and that impact is painful. So please take this discussion that we're having as a positive, because I love you. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't be having this discussion with you. I'd be sitting there laughing at you, and like many people do, they just enjoy seeing other families being destroyed before their very eyes. But I want you to know that you can make things better by being better, by being a better person and just changing. Because if you change, things will get better in your life, is the key message that I want you to take from this discussion. And I remember how ashamed I felt at that moment when Con Bosanellos lovingly read me the riot act as a young man. And he said something to me that nobody else has ever been able to say to me. He talked to me man to man, when back in those days most people would talk to 15-year-old blokes as kids. you know. They talk down to them and make them feel like a child. But he talked to me man to man in a way that enabled me to see the errors of my ways. So a very, very valuable lesson, that we need to be careful with what we say, and we need to be careful with how we say things and who we say it to, because when we say things, they hurt. When we say things, they hurt really, really badly. And as I look back and reminisce now, all I want to do is just to have 1 nanosecond with my parents, with my mother, my father. And whilst I was a pretty good kid growing up, I don't want anybody to think that I was bad to my parents. You know, if I had that 1 nanosecond again, what I would do is say 2 things. I'd say, first of all, sorry for all that I've ever said or done that may have disappointed them and hurt them, and also that I love them. I love them dearly, because you know, you only get one set of parents in your life, and I was fortunate that my biological parents were my eternal parents, and I got to live with them for a fair amount of time. I could have lived, you know, longer with my mother. She died at 63, and I wish I had more productive time with my father. But that's life, you know. So we need to be careful with what we say to others, and most importantly, we need to be careful with what we say to ourselves over and over again, because the things we say to ourselves, the things we say to others, and the things we receive from others are going to have a significant impact on our lives, because they are all priming exercises. And we need to guard our minds to the priming that occurs in our world. Tony Robbins talks about the stacking, the primary stacking of triggers, the primary stacking of positives, the primary stacking of negatives. And he says that you've got a choice. You've got a choice in the world. Now you can choose to stack the positives, all the positive experiences that you've had, all the positive memories that you've had, and you can just choose to stack those one on top of the other. And by stacking them, what you're doing is you're getting a compounding effect that is able to help you in a positive and productive way. Yet other people, even though they live in a great world, they've got a great family, they've got all the riches that they could possibly ever hope and dream to have, will spend a lot of time stacking the negatives. They will just focus on the things that are negative in their lives, and they'll put a negative spin on things that are happening to them, to others, and what they're doing is stacking one upon the other. And the little waves become a tsunami of negativity. And what you focus on, you get to own. What you focus on becomes you, becomes yours. And that's where your energy will flow. And that's where you will start to manifest those hopes, those dreams. As my sister-in-law says, na prosechis, na mi prokales. Don't bring into your life, don't tempt fate in a negative way, because you'll end up copying it in a negative way, and then you'll only have yourself to blame for that. So once again, we need to understand that we are a series of stories. The Indigenous Australians talk about their dream time. And we all have our own dream time, if you want to put it in that sort of context. We've all got stories that we've created ourselves or we've inherited from the experiences that we've read about, we've heard about, the experiences that our parents have shared with us, all of the things that they've told us, all the warnings that we've had. And as you know, a lot of those stories were valid, were correct, and were important at some time in our lives when little Jimmy was 5 years old or 10 years old. But guess what? Unless you go through those stories, unless you think about those stories and evaluate them and review them, sometimes you'll never get to clear out the rubbish that is still lingering in our minds, things that have come to us from the media, from people who have our best interests or worst interests at heart. You just don't know where a lot of these things come from and where they start. But what I'm trying to suggest here is that not all the stories, not all the stacking that we do is going to help us. So we need to ask ourselves, are the people that we're hanging out with who are conspiracy theorists? Are the people who we're hanging out with who are constantly negative, who are constantly looking at the world as a threat, as a place of danger? Are their stories valid? Are their stories going to help us grow, develop, and be productive? Are they empowering us or are they disempowering us? Are they leading us to action or are they leading us to procrastination? Because at the end of the day, we need to grow and develop, and the only way you can grow and develop is by pushing through fear, by growing, by expanding, by doing things that you feel uncomfortable to do. Courage only comes where there is fear, because otherwise, if there's no fear there in the beginning and you do something, it's not courageous. You've got to have fear, or you've got to have some sort of fear, some imaginative fear, or some real fear. And one of the big tricks in life is being able to decipher which are the real fears, which are the real risks, from those that are imagined, from those that are irrational, and from those that are just designed to hold you back. Not because people fear that you're going to get injured, but people fear that you're going to grow and develop and they're going to lose you. So once again, the call to action from the big man Tony Robbins is to do whatever we want in our personal lives, but to not push our fears, our interpretations onto others, not to push others with our pronouns and our titles and our generalizations, to let people live their lives, to enable them to experience their life according to the way they want to and the way they see it and the way that God wills it, knowing very much and very well that we all have different fates. My fate could be different to yours. God's will for me could be different from God's will to you at this point in time. Doesn't mean that God's will doesn't change from day to day, but at this moment of time, at this fork in the road, maybe God wills me to do something else. But just because it didn't work yesterday doesn't mean it's not going to work today or tomorrow. Just because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today and tomorrow. Because as I say, and as we're reminded, we all have different fate, we all have different expressions of God's will, and we need to keep on trying, we need to keep on praying, we need to keep on testing God's will, and to follow and to accept and to embrace whatever will that is, and to not push our generalizations and our beliefs and our stories onto other people, but to encourage other people to discover their stories, to discover their truth, because we've all had a different past, we're all having a different present. I am here, you're somewhere else, and we're all most definitely going to have a different future. As long as what we're doing is serving God with all our heart, mind and soul, is all that we're doing going to benefit and help us express our love to our neighbour as we love ourselves. And the clue there is that we still need to love ourselves in order to be able to learn to express that love to others. You can't hate yourself, you can't hate God and expect to love your neighbour or to love anybody else. So we need to learn God's love, and we need to express God's unconditional love to ourselves and to others around us. So I think we can leave it there for now. So once again, the homework for each and every one of us is to understand that we are subjected to priming all the time, and what we need to do is we need to guide and to shape and to make the most of those priming exercises so that we become the master of our priming. We become the master of our storytelling, and we're able to select the stories that are going to help us become better versions of ourselves. We're going to select the stories that are going to lead us to action, that are going to lead us to bold action, to be able to live and express our particular and our unique calling or callings. So we need to be mindful, and we need to tune in to the right channels, and we need to hang out with the right people. As we mentioned before, the people who are going to help us grow, develop and become who we're supposed to become, so that we can express our calling and callings and be the person that we are called to be, and to express the gifts that God has given us. Just bear me, I'm just climbing up this rock here and my shoes are a bit slippery, so I want to be careful that I don't go arse over tit. How beautiful is it here? Look at the water. It's pristine, it's clean. I'm up here at the western end of of Shoal Bay. It's high tide, and I'm on the rocky outcrop here, outcrop at Halifax Park. So I think I'll leave it there. So take care. Wishing you all the best. I look forward to coming to you again from a different place with a different message of empowerment, where we can share productive messages from the big man, Tony Robbins, where we can live, learn and pass it on, and to do some exploring to do some discovering of places that not very many people come to. And as I can say, and as you can see, whilst the sun's not out today, it is a glorious day. And it's glorious because we choose to make it glorious. We prime ourselves to live a life with positive expectancy. And we're flexible in our approach, knowing that not everything's going to go our way. Today is going to be challenging in its own ways, but God gives us that variability. He could have created everything exactly the same. Every rock, every tree could have been the same shape, the same size, and monochrome. Could have been black and white. But He chose to make everything different so that we can enjoy His creation, so that we can see the differences and to know that we're all different from each other. Everything is different from each other. Every rock is different. Everything is completely different. But the reason why they're different is they're different for us. Humans are different from each other. Creation is different so that we can enjoy it, so that we can maximize the gift of God and to make the most of our lifetimes and to sit in marvel and to thank God for all the things that we see and all the miracles that we don't see happening in our lives. What a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to come to you this morning. And as I say, all of these vlogs that I do are unedited. They just come from the heart. I start with a key message that I've been able to pick up from the big man, Tony Robbins, and then we just evolve and talk, and we don't know where it's going to lead us. So wishing you all the best until we meet again. Yassas and bye for now. I can just see a dolphin here. There you go. How beautiful is that? Hey, we've got a couple of dolphins. I just finished my video and I've got a couple of beautiful, beautiful dolphins just swimming past here at Halifax Park. What a gift. I just love it. I just absolutely love it when I see dolphins. I remember the first time I came up here to Port Stephens was with the cadets at Newington College, and we went on a canoe trip, and I saw a dorsal fin break the surface, and I remember saying to myself how beautiful, how wonderful it is to be up here in a place of such beauty and to have dolphins swimming around, being one with nature, and just having the ability to just be with God's creation. Anyway, I think they're gone now, but what a wonderful, wonderful gift. I'm just glad that I got to see the dolphins this morning. How beautiful. I just can't express how happy I am to see those dolphins. Take care, wishing you all the best, and bye for now.